Welcome to the Rob Bro Show. I am Rob Bro. I am the host. You are the co-host. You can co-host today by commenting on the Starting Line chat line. The Starting Line chat line brought to you by Starting Line Counseling. Check them out at startinglinecounseling.com. More about them later in the show. We're also in the Diversified Lenders studio. Carson, how you doing, man?
Great.
Hey, I know I just told you this is going to be a basketball show, and it will be. I do want to dunk on SMU real quick, who is now, according to Ross Dellinger, having second thoughts about playing for free in the ACC. And they thought they would get the CFP payout that the other group of 5 to Power 5 teams have gotten. They just wouldn't take the media rights payout. But it turns out the ACC is going to pay them nothing, and they're going to like it, according to Ross Dellinger today. So we'll see what happens there. But SMU already realizing the magnitude of what they've done, especially with the Florida State debacle, if you want to call it that, going on, where they want to get out of the ACC, and the rumors of the rest of the ACC kind of buckling under the pressure. But SMU, welcome to the big leagues. You screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, they handcuffed themselves from the very beginning, right? I mean, that's pretty much what happened. Is SMU said, "Hey, listen, we'll come into this conference. You don't have to pay us. We'll pay our own way. We'll do everything on our own. We've got people that have money. We're building a brand new end zone in the stadium. Our stadium still sucks though. Still better than Duke's. But we'll come into the ACC and you don't have to pay us anything." That's literally what they said. That's what they said. We're going to pay our own way. There's no payment here. Don't worry about it, guys. We've got it. And now they're trying to go back on their word, and it's not a good look for SMU. It hasn't been a good couple weeks for SMU ever since the Florida State litigation has come out, suing the ACC for bringing in a team like an SMU, which to me, it doesn't. Florida State's not wrong. It doesn't help the conference to bring in a team like an SMU. It doesn't really help the conference to bring in Stanford and Cal either. They should have just left the ACC the exact same it is. Go after Memphis. Go after South Florida. That's ACC country. It's not the West Coast of two middle-of-the-road metal teams in every sport except maybe baseball for Stanford and women's sports, polo, and I don't even know if they have any of those water sports in the ACC. Send Stanford and Cal to the West Coast Conference. They'd be better off there. The baseball conference is better. They'd be better off in the West Coast Conference anyway. SMU doesn't have baseball. They don't have softball. They don't have any of those things. And it's not like they're this top-tier basketball program either. On the women's or the men's side, they're not a top-tier football program. Maybe they're a good AAC team, but it's not like they're just blowing teams away in the AAC. So SMU's not a good add to the ACC. If I were the ACC, I'd be like, "Hey, listen, man, it was a great idea. We messed up. We're gonna let you go back to the American Athletic Conference. We didn't offer to pay you anything, so we don't owe you anything. You don't owe us anything. We're just going to split and be done with it before this thing even gets started, because Florida State's our moneymaker, or one of the biggest moneymakers. They probably are the biggest moneymaker in the ACC just because of their, foothold as the name, brand of that conference, I would say, in every sport, really, because you're talking, especially in the three biggest grossing sports are the men's side, are football, basketball, baseball. They're good at every single one of those. And if Florida State says they don't want a team in the conference, I think Florida State should have a lot of pull in what they say. What they say goes. So the ACC jumped way out of base. I don't know I can't remember who the commissioner of the ACC is off the top of my head, but he fudged this whole thing. Yeah.
Wasn't he the Northwestern AD and then got the ACC?
Yeah. Yeah. He fudged this whole thing. It did not go well for him.
Yeah. If we're power ranking commissioners of 2023. I think you got to give it to Sankey just because it's Sankey.
Yeah.
And then
Well, he brought in two of the biggest blue bloods in sports in all of them.
Yeah. Well, that was before 2023, but I guess it's finalized now.
Yeah.
And then you go Big 12 commissioner, Mark.
Yeah, he's got to be up there at number 2.
And then the Big 10 commissioner, who they just got a new commissioner as well. So
yeah,
I don't know. Clive and the ACC commissioner definitely ringing up the bottom.
Kliavkoff doesn't have a conference to commission anymore.
That's the power. It's the Pac-2. They're still in it. I think for another year and a half, 2 years.
Oh man, that's crazy. What is that TV deal? Have they came out and said what a media package is going to be for those two teams?
No, but they still have the name. They can still use the name.
They can use the Pac-12 as the name. Surely we're going to see something come out where San Diego State, Boise State, some of these teams are moving into the Pac-12, right? Like that's got to happen.
Why would you not, if you're the Mountain West, buy the Pac-12 brand? And
I agree, and just fold a few teams into it, right?
Yeah, all of them.
Fold everybody into
Mountain West and the Pac-12.
Yeah, maybe leave out Hawaii because that's not a good situation right now. But
shout out to Lyle Leong. What's up, man? Will says SMU, Cal, and Stanford filed already with the ACC. Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
But stranger things have happened. And if the ACC commissioner wakes up and says, okay, this Florida State suit where they just hammered SMU twice, complete ricochet shots, and now you have SMU saying, well, we kind of do want some money, at least the CFP money, but they're not going to give it to them. It's
not a good time for SMU to be asking for money. It's just not a good time.
No, that's like a friend of ours asking for a raise after 6 people got fired at our previous stop.
yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
If I had to go out and make a huge guess right here, SMU, that deal falls apart. But I don't know how it does. I don't know when it does. But I don't think the SMU long-term partnership with the ACC is a real thing. Now, maybe that's just because the ACC blows up. And people have speculated on that with Florida State looking to leave. Who knows?
The SEC should be going after Florida State.
How many Big 12 schools get involved? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wouldn't bother me to see the likes of Duke and North Carolina and those teams coming into the Big 12 if Florida State were to bounce to the SEC. And because I think that would be the premier spot for Florida State. I don't think they're looking to come to the Big 12. They're looking to step up and go to the Southeastern Conference and be that second Florida team in the SEC. And that would be, think about that right now for a second, is if Florida State goes to the SEC, Florida doesn't have the foothold that they used to have in the state of Florida, right?
No.
That's gone away. Florida State would, and I think, Florida State's in a better position right now than Florida is too, especially with their head coach. Mike Norvell does a better job than Billy Napier.
Yeah. What a hire.
And yeah, what a hire. It was just, it's one thing to go from Louisiana Lafayette to Memphis and then from Memphis to Florida, but from Louisiana Lafayette, a Sun Belt Conference team, you get 5,000 people at your games. You get a job to go to the University of Florida, and you're following in the footsteps of Dan Mullen, who had some success, right? He just had middling success in the last couple of years, and Florida fans got fed up with being 8-4 and 7-5. And now Billy Napier's there. They go 5-7 in his first year. I just don't know if Billy Napier's going to do it at Florida. He had a great recruiting class this year. Don't get me wrong. Had a great recruiting class at Florida. One of the best that they've seen in some time. But I just don't know if Billy Napier is the guy for the University of Florida. He may be. It just may be like a 4-year, rough road for the first 4 years till he figures this thing out in a big super conference like the Southeastern Conference. And in today's game, the state of Florida, is the second best state as far as recruiting goes. Texas is number 1, Florida's number 2, California probably number 3. If you can't win at Florida and you're in that state, it's tough to keep a job for very long.
Yeah, Will Muschamp won 10 games in his first 2 years, I think 10 and 11, and then won the East in 2020. He played for a conference championship at 8-4, and then was 5-6 and got fired. So Billy Napier's not getting 4 or 5 years to turn it around.
Right.
It's just not how it works in Florida.
That's not how it works anymore. You're right.
They've had like 10 coaches since Urban Meyer, I think.
That's crazy.
I don't know how many. Let's see. Muschamp. Was it
Dan
Muschamp
Mullen.
right after Urban? Because they've had 3 since Urban Meyer. You've had 4.
No, you had McElwain in there at a point. Yeah, Jim McElwain, who's now back at Central Michigan, doing a fantastic job at Central Michigan. Go Chippewas. Saw him a lot on Maction Tuesdays this year.
Yeah.
But McElwain was in there. Then you had Muschamp, and then it was
Mullen,
our boy Dan Mullen, who I think did a pretty good job.
Dan Mullen was in the hunt for the Syracuse job and didn't get it, so I guess he's just going to be a commentator.
I think he likes his ESPN gig, to be honest with you.
Why wouldn't you?
He's still getting paid by Florida too, I think.
He's probably still getting paid by Florida, but I don't know that Florida would want Florida State in the SEC. I think they want
I agree.
Into Texas, and then get Oklahoma, but I don't know that they want any more Florida teams. For the Big 12, Miami would be a huge get. I would love
that'd be Big 12. Yeah, and then you have a foothold. I mean, you have, Central Florida, which is more, I guess it is Central Florida, but more northern. And then you have Southern Florida if you get Miami. South Beach, Brett Yormark. Think of all the possibilities with Brett Yormark in South Beach, Rob.
Yeah, but UCF doesn't have like the long stranglehold. And the Big 12.
No. They don't hold the power that the University of Miami, just the name. Miami isn't who they used to be, but we all want them to be, right? Everybody wants them to be the Miami of old, where it's, the good old days of Jimmy Johnson and all those guys.
Miami was good for 15 years.
Yeah.
In their history, they had that 15-year run with Schnellenberger.
It was such a great 15 years, though, man.
That was top of the game.
Because they did it right in those 15 years, though.
Oh, they did it. I don't know if they did it right.
Yeah, they did it right. They did it exactly how you're supposed to do it, Rob. Pay the best players in the country to come play for you. Find the dudes in your backyard that don't have anything. Pay them. Let them come play, and they win you national titles. That's what you do.
Can you imagine that 2001 roster in the portal era? They would have been decimated. Willie McGahee, I think, was the backup fullback. Willis McGahee, yeah. Because Clinton Portis was the backup because Frank Gore, Clinton Portis,
all those names.
Yeah, all of them were on the same team.
If Willis McGahee's leg wouldn't have just snapped in half in the national title game, his professional career would have been just as good as Frank Gore's.
Yeah.
He was so good.
Yeah.
He was so good.
Anyways, I need to watch that 30 for 30 again, both of them.
That's one of my favorite 30 for 30s. And Starter said, Miami was literally the best program in the nation by far for 20 years. That's a fact. Howard Schnellenberger started it. Jimmy Johnson boosted it.
Yeah.
And then
Larry Coker.
Larry Coker, man. One of the most underrated best coaches of all time.
There's some guys in between there, but I think those 3 won the national championships.
Yeah, I mean, you had, yeah. Those Coker teams are fun to watch too, man.
There's another NFL coach,
Sean Taylor. Woo! Sean Taylor is one of my favorite college football players of all time. He may have been the best. I mean, Ed Reed was pretty good too, but Sean Taylor might have been the best defensive back in college football history, right? One of the most athletic freak athletes that we've ever seen.
Before Larry Coker. And then
Butch Davis.
Dennis Erickson was the guy I was trying to think of.
Yeah, there you go. Big names. All good head coaches right there.
Dennis Erickson won national championships too.
I think Butch Davis did too, or he got to a national championship, didn't
No,
win it, but
he didn't win one.
yeah.
Howard Schnellenberger, Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson, and Larry Coker all won national championships
Yeah,
from
there you go.
79 to 2006.
And every one of those guys but Larry Coker turned it into an NFL job.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, did Howard
56 game home
Howard
wins.
didn't get in the NFL?
No, Schnellenberger didn't.
Oh, well.
He ended up at
No,
Florida.
he was.
Did he? He
was
coached for the Dolphins.
The Colts.
Oh, Baltimore. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
and then
before Miami, though.
Yeah, and then Schnellenberger revived Florida Atlantic University as well, their football program.
Yes, he did. Anyways.
Yeah.
Way
off topic.
Way off topic. Basketball.
That's usually what we're good at.
Basketball. Texas Tech starting the Big 12 season tomorrow against the University of Texas. Texas ranked at times this year. I think they're ranked right now, maybe 20th in the
number
country.
21. Yeah, 20th or 21. Yeah.
I don't think they are way better than Texas Tech, but they certainly were better last year, and so they kind of get that bump at the beginning of the season. We'll see how they do in Big 12 play. I think this is a winnable game for Texas Tech.
Yeah, I do too. I think here's the thing about Texas Tech. They're a team that can win most games in the Big 12. I don't know if anybody's going to beat Kansas that much. Kansas may lose one or two games just because they go on the road in the Big 12 and some places are hard and some team may have a great shooting night against them, but Kansas is very good. Other than that, I think that anybody can beat anybody on any given night in the Big 12 this year. It's like it is every single year. There's just one team that kind of stands above the rest, which is Kansas. Kevin McCullough's squad is just really, really good. Really wish him and those guys would have stayed at Tech for a little while longer, but it's working out for him. He's got a chance to be a Naismith Player of the Year. He's definitely got a chance to be the Big 12 Player of the Year. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But back to Texas, Max Abmas has played pretty good this year. Stepping up. He's a big senior. He's been there a while. He's got the experience. He's played in the Big 12. Tyrese Hunter, obviously.
First year in the Big 12.
It's his first year in the Big 12. My bad. He's now getting into the Big 12. Right. That's what I mean.
He's got a bunch of experience.
He's got a bunch of experience. Thank you. Tyrese Hunter, the guy that has experience in the Big 12. I don't know that he's played as well as I think Texas fans thought. I think they thought he might be the best player on this team. Abmas has kind of been the best player on this team. Mitchell down low, he rebounds like a machine. He's averaging, I think, close to 10 rebounds a game. For me, it comes down to your post play. And we've talked about this so far in the season too, is it comes down to your bigs. How physical can you be down low? And can you stay out of foul trouble to keep Warren Washington and guys like that on the floor, especially and then you don't have Cambridge. So that affects you in Big 12 play more than it did in your non-conference slate because the Big 12 is so physical and it'll just grind you and wear you down. Missing a guy like him in the Big 12 makes a bigger deal than it did in your non-conference slate. So that'll be key. Pop Isaac seems to have figured it out a little bit as of late, the Big 12 Player of the Week this week. We'll see if he can continue to do that. Defenses are going to have special plans for Pop Isaacs. They know who he is. It's not a secret anymore. You're going to have to get good play off your bench. That's where you have to get the play out of is your bench guys. Your bench guys are going to have to play well. And, guys like Kerwin Walton and guys like that are going to have to step up and play big minutes and not so much on the offensive end, but you've got to play defense in the Big 12, right? It's a defensive league in this league. You've got to close out, especially against a team like Texas. They will crash the boards. You've got to be able to go one and done. If they put a shot up, it's one and done. No second chance opportunities, no third chance opportunities for sure. Because against Texas, that seems to be Tech's Achilles heel in the past couple of years when they have struggled against Texas. Now, there hadn't been a ton of struggle against Texas, but, in the last few years, it's been second chance opportunities to kick out three off of an offensive rebound Um, you know, that's where it comes down to is limiting possessions for the University of Texas on their side of the floor. And then you've got to not be in a hurry. I think this is where the McCaslin style will pay off. Fans probably aren't going to like it a ton because they're not going to run. They're going to be slow and methodical in what they do on the offensive end. But I think that will suit this team a little bit more in the Big 12 play.
What's crazy is I agree with you, but I feel like you have to run in the Big 12 to get that advantage. You have to just know when to do it. It's like tempo in football. You can't do it all the time.
Yeah.
You have to pick your spots. You have to get some runs in this basketball game, and you have to do it at the Moody Center.
Yeah.
Go on January 6th, storm the Capitol. So I think that Texas Tech can win this game, and there are some matchups that I think you can exploit, like Brock Cunningham, who's still playing.
And what is it? His 9th year? How old is this dude? I think he's our age, Rob.
Yeah, I think so. According to Ryan Mainville, he plays 66% of their minutes. He started 10 of 13 games and averages 5 points a game.
He didn't have a receding hairline when he started. Now he's barely got any hair, right?
I have
how old this guy is.
He's like Dr. Perry from Kansas. He just keeps playing. Not as good. Not as good.
Yeah, not as good. Yeah. Yeah. And he's annoying as crap. Yeah.
You know, he is what he is. I think your 5th or 6th guy is better than Brock Cunningham. Can your 1 and 2 guy, Joe Tucson and Pop Isaacs, be as good as Tyrese Hunter and Max Abbas? That's the question.
I think this is where Joe Toussaint's skill, his thought process, his time played in the Big 12 helps a ton, right? Toussaint is that guy that you can kind of go and lean on if you need someone to go make a play. And I'm not talking so much about going and getting a bucket. I'm talking about creating a basket for somebody else and himself. Toussaint knows what it takes to get this thing done. It's no secret that he's played a big role on the West Virginia team last year as well. So I think that having Joe Toussaint as your point man helps a ton. And we already talked about it, and Starter 179 put it, really proud of Kerwin Walton for how well he's been playing. I agree. Kerwin Walton has been playing to his potential that we thought we would see Kerwin Walton at the last couple games. He's had moments. He needs to keep having moments, and those moments just need to be repetitive and what he does now. It doesn't need to be moments anymore. It needs to be just, this is who Kerwin Walton is. And for Texas Tech to be successful, he's got to be that guy. Yeah. I think he's an X factor in all of these games to me. Is if Kerwin Walton has a good night, you're probably going to have a good night as well. Now, Pop Isaacs has to play good. So does Joe Toussaint. You've got to be good down low, like I said, with Washington. Warren Washington, I think, has to be a big man. He just got to play like a big man, like a Big 12 big man. And I don't know if he's there yet. He'll get there, I hope.
We've seen it in a couple of games. He's been really good. I think they found something with the pick and roll, with the alley-oop game. With Warren Washington, can he do that, consistently? And can he get 8, 9, 10 rebounds against a Big 12 team? I don't know, but we'll certainly see it. I think the Kerwin Walton, this is crazy, but stay with me. The Kerwin Walton Brock Cunningham matchup is what will decide this game. You ready for that?
Yeah.
If you would have told me last year that heading into 2024, Kerwin Walton and Brock Cunningham are the 2 most important players in this game, I would have laughed. But Kerwin Walton, again, according to Ryan Mainville on the Gambling Gauchos, said that he was the most efficient offensive player in basketball. He doesn't have a turnover yet, Kerwin Walton. He is far and away playing his most efficient basketball, the most efficient basketball on the team, and has been really good since he kind of moved into that starter minutes role. Can he continue that in the Big 12? If Kerwin Walton doesn't have a drop-off in Big 12 play and plays like he's playing, can you go 500 in the Big 12? Can you steal a game against Texas? Can you steal a game against BYU? Can you steal a game at the Fertitta Center there in Houston? I don't know, but you're a lot more likely to do that if Kerwin Walton is who he's been this year.
Yeah, that's a fact. And I go back to the 2019 team, the Final Four team, the national title run team, came up short, runner up short. Brandon Francis comes to mind as a guy who was kind of this person, right? How Brandon Francis went is how that team went. When Brandon Francis came off the bench and had a great night, you won. And that's why you won a lot, because Brandon Francis was consistent as the number 6 guy when he came off the bench. And that's what that was his role that year, right? That was his role for most of that year, was being the 6th man off the bench. If Kerwin Walton can have that type of Big 12 year, and some nights Brandon Francis had 6, some night, but he didn't turn the ball over. That you just said it. That's huge if you can come off the bench and not be turned over, sped up, get out of your rhythm, get out of your pace. And I think Kerwin Walton shoots it better than Brandon Francis did as well. So a guy like that has the potential to shoot it better. Don't let me knock on wood.
Yeah.
And make sure that I don't jinx it. But, I think that Kerwin Walton will have that effect. You said it. How Kerwin Walton goes is kind of how this team goes. If he has good nights, you're going to have good nights. And if he can have good nights on 50% of these Big 12 games and you go 500 in this league, you're an NCAA tournament team. This league, if you go 500, you're an NCAA tournament team. There's no doubt about it. This is again, especially with adding in Houston, even BYU into this league, it makes it the toughest basketball league in the country, just with the talent that this league has, from top to bottom, really. The bottom's a little lower now because UCF's not very good. Cincinnati, I don't know what Cincinnati is. We'll see. It's hard to tell in non-conference slates, really, but the top, 12 of this conference, how many bids you think before the season starts, before Big 12 play gets tipped off, bid wise? I mean, you have 14 teams in a conference.
Yeah, I mean,
7, half of the teams could go to the dance.
You were getting 7 with 10.
Yeah, I know. And it doesn't seem unrealistic to say you could get 8. Maybe
the Big 10 did. The Big 10 got what, like 11?
And in my mind, the Big 12 and the Big 10 are the 2 best basketball conferences, right? This year too.
Yeah, I still think there's a thought process that the ACC and the SEC aren't that far behind the Big 10, but
I think they're not as deep as these 2 conferences.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, I guess. I certainly think the Big 12 is far and away the best.
Alan said 11.
11. If 11 teams got in at the end of the year, I would not be shocked, but I would be surprised.
Yeah. I think 10 is the cap.
So you're in the this is something that shout out to Ryan Manville. I'm just using all his stats on the show, but you're scheduled to go 9-9 in Big 12 play, according to
NCAA tournament team,
according to the books. But he said that you're the last 4 out if you go 9-9. So you need to steal a couple of games. But I just don't see that. I don't see how that is possible. If you go 500 in this conference, the best conference in the world in basketball, I don't see how you get left out. But some of that is non-conference. Some of that is the non-conference you're playing and lost to isn't as good as you thought maybe at the beginning, with Villanova losing a couple. And
here's the thing. You need Butler. You need Butler to be really good in the Big East.
Yeah. Michigan
if Butler can be really good. Yeah.
Michigan has not been as good as you thought they were when you beat them. So it is what it is. I do think that Texas, with their 2 losses, has a better resume right now than you do, because they lost to 2 top 10 teams. They lost to Marquette with Shaka Smart, and they lost to UConn. 2 really good teams.
Yeah.
You lost to 2 teams that aren't as good. just flat out. And you struggled with a couple of games. Texas really hasn't struggled. I can see Texas going in and winning this game by 10 or 12 at the end, but I think it's going to be a close game, and they'll really have to pull away at the end. But in the old Big 12 with 10 teams, you had Iowa State get in with a 7-11 record.
Yeah.
So I just 8-10 gets you in with the Big 12, says Allen. It just depends. If 12 teams go 500 because everyone beats everybody up, what does that mean? Do you get
If one of those 8 wins is Kansas, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you get a couple of quad 2 games because you're beating UCF and Cincinnati, but losing all your quad 1 games? We'll see. And I think it was Kyle on the Gauchos that said that this was a back half of the conference strength of schedule, maybe one of the weakest conference schedules left in the Big 12, but it's like top 15 nationally.
Hey, you know, you look at the Tech schedule, and if you really want to go upset city, I mean, you have to play Kansas once, but you get them at home. If you had to pick a time to play Kansas, it would be at that point in February, in the middle of this Big 12 schedule. You don't want to see them at the end of the Big 12 slate because you're going to be beat to hell, right? And Kansas is just very, very, very good. And you don't want to see Kansas late. I just firmly believe that you do not want to see Kansas later in the Big 12 slate.
You have early. You don't want to see them late. You don't want to see them in the middle. You just don't want to play Kansas, really.
Yeah, but if you have to play them, I'd rather see them in the middle. I don't want to see them right now either. I want to get a few Big 12 games under my belt with some of these newer guys and learn the roles, especially for the big men like Warren Washington. Robert Jennings is going to have to play a big role in the Big 12 too, I think, because if Washington gets in foul trouble, you've got to have Robert Jennings, right? Like that's the answer. That's the only other answer for me. You can't just play a small lineup against Big 12 teams. It just can't happen. Now there's a couple Big 12 teams that you can probably do that with, the Cincinnati, UCF. You can probably get away with that, maybe TCU to some extent, but you get Kansas at home on a big one, February the 12th. So I think that's the best draw you could ever have with Kansas. Yeah. But yeah, the latter half of this Big 12 schedule, I mean, the last 3 games in March, you go 2 West Virginia, 2 Oklahoma State, then you have Baylor at home to end it. 2 West Virginia and 2 Oklahoma State late in the season is tough. And I don't care what those 2 teams look like right now. West Virginia is 5-8 right now. They don't look great. Huggy Bear's gone. It's kind of a cluster there at West Virginia, but anytime you go to Morgantown, it's hard. Yeah. And anytime you go to Gallagher-Iba, it's hard. And Oklahoma State usually figures it out at some point in Big 12 slate, and they're very, very well coached. And then you get to end the season by beating the Baylor Bears at home. So that a win like that, if Baylor continues to be as good as they've been and a top 25 team, then that's a big win to put on your resume before you go to the Big 12 tournament. And who knows what the Big 12 tournament is going to hold this year. That's going to be a crazy deal this year with the 14 teams. So,
you have plenty of opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the way the Big 12 slate lines up for you. And you don't have to go to BYU. You get to play BYU at home. That's big too. Houston at Houston's a big one in a couple weeks. That one will be fun. But yeah, I like this Big 12 slate for Texas Tech. You just got to stay healthy, and you've got to have your big men, Warren Washington, Robert Jennings. Those guys have got to figure it out, and they've got to figure it out quickly because the Big 12 is a big boys basketball league. It's not, you can't just miss a shot underneath the bucket and get your own rebound and a putback anymore. You're not getting that opportunity anymore. That's not there.
All right. You are a couple of minutes away from needing to get out of here. So I had one more thing I wanted to talk about.
Yep.
Arizona, according to Action Network, is the most profitable team. They were 11-2 against the spread this year with Jed Fish and Noah Fafita. Fafita, you want to guess his record against the spread?
Fafita's record as the starter?
He started 9 games, yeah.
Probably 9-0.
8-1.
8-1. Yeah. I knew it was close. Fafita, I'm telling you, Rob, he possibly could be the best quarterback in the Big 12 next year.
I'm not arguing.
Yeah. I watched him almost every single one of their games because they were a Pac-12 after dark. They played a lot after 9 p.m. And Jed Fish slowly but surely became one of my favorite head coaches to watch. He's a great play caller, and putting Noah Fafita in at quarterback was his best move of the season. If they don't have Noah Fafita, they don't win the games they won. They don't beat Oregon State. They don't beat USC. They don't beat any of those teams without Noah Fafita. And he's a freshman. And then you had of course, this last couple of weeks, you had the rumor going around that he and their best wide receiver, who I can't remember what his name was, Solomon something, they were going to leave because they're kind of a package deal. They played at high school together. They came to Arizona together. And Noah Fafita's dad came out. His dad said, they ain't going anywhere. Noah's at Arizona. He's a Wildcat. And, I was kind of hoping he would leave and go somewhere else because he's really good. And Jed Fish, though, was able to keep him at home. And Arizona's going to be trouble, man. I'm telling you. Arizona's football team is on the rise.
What a career Jed Fish has had.
Yeah. How about that?
I'm just looking at it. So he gets his college debut at Florida as a GA after coaching wide receivers at the New Jersey Red Dogs. Then he goes Texans as the defensive quality control, Ravens as an offensive assistant, Broncos wide receivers coach for a year, Minnesota offensive coordinator for a year, Seattle Seahawks quarterbacks coach for a year. Then he goes to Miami, Florida, the Canes for 2 seasons, the Jaguars offensive coordinator for 2 years. Then he goes to Michigan as the quarterbacks coach. Then he gets a job at UCLA as the offensive coordinator. That is also the year that somebody, what was it? Sonny Dykes, not Sonny Dykes. Jim Moore Jr. maybe got fired. And he takes over as the interim. Then he goes to the Los Angeles Rams as an offensive assistant. Then he's the assistant OC at the Rams in 2019. Then he's the Patriots quarterbacks coach for a year before he gets to Arizona. What a career!
Yeah, what a stops, man. How about all those stops?
And at Arizona, 1-11, 5-7, 10-3.
I mean, Rod, in 3 years,
5-7, 10-3.
In 3 years, from one win, he had one win in his first year, and that Arizona program was a complete dumpster fire. Complete dumpster fire in the Pac-12. They were non-existent as a football program.
They lost 15 in a row until Matt Wells rolled into town. Ricochet shot.
That's tough.
Hey, shout out
to Matt Wells.
Hey, one last thing. Matt Wells,
offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator at Kansas State. What do you think?
Yeah.
Co-OC.
Yeah, co-OC and associate head coach.
Yeah.
That's his main title, associate head coach. But yeah, cool. It's not going to change anything Kansas State does.
No. I wonder who will be calling the plays and how much they'll.
Won't be Matt Wells. If it's Matt Wells, it's going to be a ton of swing right, swing left, and not a whole lot of imagination. Yeah. But good for him. But yeah, Jed Fish in this conference, coming into this conference, Arizona's going to be tough. Kyle Whittingham's team's always tough at Utah, especially with Cam Rising coming back. Cam Rising, good quarterback. We'll see what he is after a year off.
Yeah. I'm not expecting much from Cam Rising.
I'm not scared of Arizona State. They don't bother me. Colorado,
No. Shador's
a good quarterback.
Shador, Fafita.
Shador Sanders doesn't get a lot of love other than because he's Deion's son. That's why he gets some publicity, but he doesn't get as much love, I think, as he should for his presence in the pocket and the arm talent. Shador Sanders has a absolute cannon for a right arm.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of if I was power ranking the Big 12 course. We'll have to do that next Wednesday on Power Ranking Wednesday.
Yeah, way too early power ranking quarterbacks.
You say that Fafita might be the best quarterback in the Big 12. Who else is it?
Yeah, it depends on if Quinn Ewers comes back too.
You love Quinn Ewers. I'm not as sold on him.
He's pretty good.
He's all right.
He's pretty good.
He's also not in the Big 12 anymore.
That's fair. Oh, yeah. Good point. Never mind.
Yeah.
I forget that Texas is gone. Yeah.
So
see you later.
All right. That's all I got.
You want to give a score prediction for tomorrow?
Sure. Let's say, I think if you win, you keep Texas from scoring a whole lot. I think you play it slow. You play defense. Let's say 75-68. Texas Tech.
Score. You say don't score a lot. The 75 is a high score for me in the Big 12.
Well, but 68 isn't. You keep them,
true. Good
keep
point.
them under 70, I think you win.
Yeah. How many points does Pop have in 75?
18.
For you to win, he's going to have at least 18.
Yeah, Kerwin is 3 for 5 from deep.
I like that.
Tucson adds 15. Warren Washington's 10-10. I think
Ooh. If Warren Washington can be 10-10, I think you're going to win a lot of Big 12 games.
What do you got?
Listen, I think that Texas Tech is close. I don't know that they're quite there yet. I think Texas is a little bit better right now. Texas 71, Texas Tech 62.
Yeah.
I hate that, but being realistic, I just think that Texas is a little bit further along than the Red Raiders are right now. I'll spill my drink. Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's where I'm at. But yeah, and then the other Big 12 games in the slate, I don't know that there's like this massive one that I'm really excited about. Iowa State at Oklahoma. Could be good. TCU at Kansas. How good is TCU really? Right. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. I want Kansas and Kevin McCullough to beat them by 50.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
I'm down.
Yeah. But I'm excited about Big 12 basketball, man. I don't know that there's a whole lot better than Big 12 basketball. In basketball season, anyway.
No, and you get to watch it all night.
Yeah.
Or all day, I mean.
Yep.
You get
ending with the Red Raiders and Longhorns at 7 p.m. from the Moody. Oh, no, 9 p.m. BYU.
Starting at 1
Big
o'clock.
12 after dark.
Yeah, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, all day long.
Is that going to be a new thing now with Arizona and Arizona State and Colorado and Utah coming Big 12 after dark? No more Pac-12 after dark. Big 12 after dark's a thing.
Yeah. There it is.
Sweet.
All right. What score did you say?
71-62 Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. By 9. Wow.
Yeah. Shoot free throws at the end.
Makes sense.
Extend
so we're saying if Texas scores 70 or more, they win.
They win. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's keep them at 69.
I like it.
All right. See you Monday
Peace.
or Wednesday, whenever it is.